Well, guys, welcome. We have had an amazing day. We are visiting a client in South Carolina. We're blessed to be able to go visit our clients. What makes today very special are a couple things. We had the opportunity to install some gold signature cables from Ansuz. That's a product we don't get to handle every day. It is top tier, best of the best, extremely expensive and extremely high performing. So that's been a lot of fun. But we're also very fortunate that we have Michael Borresen here with us, helping us on this installation. Michael, welcome to the US of A.
Thank you. It's been a while, but it's always nice to be here.
Yeah. We love Michael's presence. Michael is one of the owners of Audio Group Denmark. Audio Group Denmark is the parent company for Aavik, Ansuz, Borresen, and your newest line, Access. And he is, of course, the Chief Technical Officer. So he's in charge of all the R&D, all the development, really the outside-the-box things that Audio Group Denmark is known for is because of this crazy man. And I think opportunities like this, as Michael, you've told me in the past, give Michael an opportunity to also gain inspiration in the field, right? When you get to meet clients like Wiley and Lila, when you get to see their system, see their environment, I think that also probably gives you a little bit of inspiration.
Yeah, it gives me at least, when we put in this and see the smiling faces, really bringing the music closer to them.
Yeah.
I saw last night, I saw tears.
Yeah.
So it was really an emotional evening, and of course that touches me as well.
Yeah.
It makes me happy that our products, well, as you said, untouchable for most.
Yeah.
Create such excitement for the selected few that has the opportunity and capabilities of going into our reference products.
Something interesting I noticed last night, I know just from hanging out with you for the last 15, 20 years or whatever, I know you tend to listen to music critically with your eyes closed, like a lot of our clients do. And I noticed last night when we put the first gold signature cable in, you went from this position to this position, and it seemed like that same piece of music really hit you a little bit deeper.
Yeah, music does that.
Yeah.
I think the only reason I'm in this business is because of the music. I'm not in this business for the technical things or the money side or anything. If I was looking for money, I would probably do something else.
Right.
But music has always taken a center stage in my life. And I bought guitars, I bought piano, I bought a lot of things, but they cannot get out. I can hear a lot of things in music and I cannot understand it.
Yeah.
So the only way I can convey music is through HiFi and stereo. And I've been building speakers, making amplifiers pretty much all my life.
Yes. Yep. One thing that I think would be really neat for our viewers to know is that I really think, of course, I am not the technical expert by any means, and I'll be the first to disclose that. The M2 was truly a collaboration project between our store and Michael Borresen. It was kind of us pushing Michael, go, hey, could you do this for us?
Yeah. And you had a medium there. You had Lars, and I think Lars was easier to convince than me.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy with the result of that. I'm so happy that I have them at home as well.
Well, that's what I was going to share. It turned out to maybe a little bit of understandable. They're a manufacturer. They have to stay on track with their product development. They have to stay on track with their plans. So for me to be able to slightly derail them, I believe for the good of the company and the clients, was really cool. And I think the end result speaks for itself. You hear this cozy room and this speaker just scales like crazy, but doesn't overtake the room.
I think that, I don't know, sometimes you make something, whether it's out of luck or out of knowledge, that's where everything sort of matches up.
Yeah.
And it seems like this is one of the occasions where pretty much the design intent and the result, they went very well hand in hand.
Yeah.
We already knew the drivers, of course, for the other M speakers, so it was mainly down to designing a cabinet that we knew would work well with the drivers.
Yeah.
But often when you make speakers, you make something that is a little bit off anyway, and that means that you internally have to do things to our speakers are 2.5 way, and that means that they need to be very well controlled in the mid-range, lower bass. That region needs to be very controlled in the cabinet that holds the driver, and you cannot really port load it as to a reflex, because then you get a bump and it gets a very pronounced energy in a 150 hertz region, and that is not really good for the speaker. So but this one came out almost with a perfect roll off of that two-way lower frequency, and that made it really, it was almost a one touch, one go speaker, and it performs really, really well out of the box. And for some reason it has the ability to really dig down deep, to an extent where you would not expect a speaker that size to go.
Yeah, we know the quality is always there with your products, right? We know the resolution's there, but the bass on these little guys is just crazy. And even in our big demo room, which is kind of infinite size because it bleeds into other rooms, it does not run out of steam, I mean, for all intents and purposes. So wanted to just personally, I've talked to your business partner Lars, but wanted to personally thank you for putting so much effort and really considering what the market is telling you, because I know as a manufacturer, people tell you guys a lot of things, and to give it consideration and making this project. I think there's
a big difference between you asking us this question, or we go out and ask the market broadly.
Sure.
Because you are, the way you conduct your business is in a very high-end environment and with high-end intent. So taking advice, I mean, the advice is that we need another model. The advice is not, could you make it sound a little bit more like that?
No, that's you. That's you.
That's what I mean. So of course, what you pointed to us is that there is a market possibility here, and I have clients, and we know that we sold quite a huge amount of M1 speakers, and I think every single M1 speaker should be interested in this, because it's virtually the same real estate it takes, but performance is like a scale up, triple.
Yeah, we did really well, and we continue to do really well with the M1. You know, that's the reference monitor, guys. We launched it a few years ago together. It's $100,000, best monitor in the world. There's no question in my mind. I'm biased because I love the Borresen sound, but there's nothing like it. And you know, when we were thinking about this M2 project, you know, I said, hey, you know, and I didn't have our sales figures or our spreadsheets in front of us, but I'm like, I know we've done a lot of M1s, to Michael's point. Like, you know, I said, I think we've done like 8 pairs or something where we have clients. You know, this was just off the top of my head in a brainstorming session. And Peter Hansen, your North American sales manager, quickly corrected me. He goes, no, Tyler, you've sold 12 pairs of M1s. Yeah. And so that was just kind of more fuel to the fire. Like, this is a real project, because of all those systems we've done, there's only one of those systems where I think the room would be too small to, I know it would be too small. It's a small office where the M2 would just be a little bit too much. But all the other guys' rooms that we have the M1s in would be a great candidate. So speaking of taking some market input, I'll just put it out there. Do you think the new C5 might be a possibility?
I think you should lobby the other guys.
All right, your business partners and stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, well, from a designer perspective, do you have any hesitation with it? If you,
I think it could eventually fit in the product. I mean, we don't have many speakers with 8-inch drivers, right?
Right.
We have a T5 now with that.
Yep.
And it works really, really well. And it could fit in the C, of course. We have the old Z5, the C5, which had the 8-inch woofers, and I think that was actually the best balanced speaker we made. So in that respect, and I think also if you look at our numbers, that was probably one that sold the most, apart from the Z1, which was a crazy good seller for it.
Yeah, that's the thing. So we're talking about the old Z series guys, which kind of was a more on the exterior, certainly not on the inside. It had old Michael Borsen's know-how on the inside, but on the exterior is more of a kind of a traditional box style speaker. I mean that respectfully, because it was to hit a price point. You know, previously we only had the O series. Hey, what'd you put in that Mountain Dew?
Yeah.
He's drinking the smart now.
Yeah,
Teasy. So we had the O series, which of course is what put Borresen on the map. We launched in 18, and then, we needed a product that hit a different price point because we started at about $45,000 was our entry point. So Michael created the Z series, and that has since been updated just recently with the C series, and C has done phenomenally well. The new cabinets are gorgeous. And with all that said, I'm thinking kind of like the M1s, I'm thinking about how many pairs of Z5s we've sold and helped clients with. I'm like, man, if Michael could put that new C series technology and cabinet into a 5.
I will not sit here be obliged to make
Fair enough.
a C5. I don't know if I need to look into that. I think that we made a cabinet so complex that the manufacturer that we use is actually having big troubles producing it.
Yeah.
So we
maybe not.
suffer delays. But I think also there's a progress in processes, a little change here and a little change there. Sometimes it's a few millimeters we need to change to make production easier.
Sure.
And so I think once that program has run, it frees up some capabilities and possibilities.
And please don't take it as pushing you. I just want to give the audience some backstories of where this C5 idea might be ruminating from. Let's move on to something that we know is happening, and that's subwoofers.
Yeah.
That's been a long time brewing in your mind.
Yeah. Basically that project started with the top of a range speaker that we wanted to make an M8.
Okay.
But there was some steps along the way to the M8. The first step was that we started to include the analog filters in our amplifiers.
Right.
Because an M8 would definitely be an active project. So we put those crossovers in, and then I wanted to make the bass system for that top speaker more of a type of bass where you set air in motion rather than you build pressure.
Okay.
So I'm actually a big fan of dipoles. So I made some in my student time in university. I made door-sized speakers, panel speakers, apogee type speakers.
Really?
Yeah, and that bass has a tendency to float in the air in a different way that you can do with the seal boxes or reflex-loaded boxes.
Okay.
So I wanted to create that bass you get out of those, but the panel speakers are limited because they may be big, but they're so limited in excursion.
Yeah.
So in order to make something like that, I designed some slot-loaded dipoles where 2 drivers or 4 drivers or 6 drivers are pushing towards each other and basically creating a radiation of air motion towards you. And of course some of that will drift to the backside.
Sure.
So it becomes effectively a dipole. But because you do that, the way to the backside on the drivers is quite long, so they tend to extend fairly deep anyway.
Interesting.
So basically it's a folded dipole that plays into the slot. And the slot has that ability of also loading the drivers.
Okay.
So you can really push transients through them without the drivers collapsing and just bottoming out. So it's fairly good, it's a very good way of making bass. And what it does is that it creates this floating bass that is not pressurizing the room at the same time.
Yeah.
So you never feel that congestion you can sometimes do with subwoofers.
Right.
And another advantage of that is that they are lightning fast, so you never have something hanging back. Mm-hmm. Of course, our crossover built into our amplifiers helps that a lot as well, because it's analog and it's not going through a DSP, which will add like 20 milliseconds of delay. So every time you try to integrate a subwoofer where it has a DSP-based crossover, it's inevitably never going to time the music.
Right.
It may be working quite well with movies and stuff like that, where you just want this deep rumble. But if you want something that really adds a pressure to a degree where you can add pressure to a stroke on a hi-hat or a snare drum, you can get that pressure from this this type of subwoofer with an analog filter that we have built.
Yeah.
So for me, those subwoofers that we'll bring to the market and introduce, the first one in the US at Exponent, is sort of more like intended for music. Of course, they can be used in other setups. Something good can always be used where you have lesser demands of that.
Right.
But for music, that timing is so essential, and the subwoofers. But that forms, those subwoofers that we have been building and working with over the last 2 years is really the foundation of being able to make the M8.
Wait.
But it is sort of like a link all the way back to when we started pushing in the crossovers. Lars was very skeptical at the first for the crossovers. Why did I really want those?
Okay. Wow, they work great.
But then he started playing with them and understanding why I wanted them also in regards to the M8. And now he's quite happy, I think.
Yeah, we use the analog filters often in the 880 series electronics without subwoofers to deal with problematic rooms.
Yeah, you can do that at the same time. Especially if you have some of these bi-wireable, where you can use an extra power amp to run the bass section.
That's
and
exactly right.
If you do that, you have an 80 hertz or 90 hertz problem in the room, you can just set the slopes a little bit apart and notch that problematic area out.
Well, you seem particularly excited about your subwoofers, and I know I heard, myself and some guests heard the prototypes last year at your factory, and I will say, guys, been doing this for a long time, couple decades, and these things disappear. And that's, for me, you'll see a lot of our systems don't have subwoofers that we install throughout the country, because I am uber critical. Will they disappear or will they stick out? And these things, I can tell you, even in the prototype phase, do not stick out. So also gets us pretty excited about them.
Yeah. I think that will be that will put even bigger smiles on people's faces. And I think ultimately that is the goal of this.
Cool.
Yeah.
You touched on the M8, and I know we're running short on time, so I just maybe we can tell our audience a little teaser of when you think we might see the first prototype of the M8.
I know that we will start mounting late April. We will start mounting.
Okay, so it's coming.
It is coming, definitely. Yeah. It is coming. We will start mounting, and I think we will have them playing before August. We will have first playing, and then we may fiddle around with them a few months before we start shipping any of them out. Yeah.
Just remind your business partner that we have our pair on reserve. So
but I don't interfere in that. I know there will be a lottery.
Yeah.
Well, the grand M8 sweepstakes.
Yeah, I've already picked out our serial number. I'd just like to put this on record. If we're fortunate in our store, we have the room to support them.
You can actually play them.
Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
So we deliberately pushed them a little bit back, or I did, so I knew that we will not get them in time for Munich.
Smart.
Because otherwise everybody in the company would just, we need them. But we don't really need them.
No.
We don't really need them.
You got a lot.
But and I think we have a demo room at our facilities. So the idea is that if we have interested client, we simply fly them there and show them. And then we involve them in the building process so that they can see their pair of M8s being built at our facility with our drivers, our technology, and our people.
That's been super exciting for our clients. I know we do that for our M series clients and our 880 series clients. We bring them to Aalborg to be part of the build process. As Michael's saying, it's awesome to see your products being built, and sometimes they'll even let you put a finishing touch, tighten the last screw, autograph the inside, whatever the client would like done within reason.
I think now we are here with a client, and I really like what you do and what other of our dealers do. This really, really close relationship.
Yeah.
Because we know where the products go. We know the people.
Yeah.
We know, and instead of just doing business, we get to be business friends in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And people who have the capability of buying into this also have interesting stories. It's really nice to feel what really brought them there and why.
Yeah.
But also, what have they been doing in their prior life? Because let's face it, most of the people we get in touch with are on the grayer side. I'm grey too.
Yeah.
Side of life.
Yeah.
Because they have building this wealth over many years, and now they have a chance of releasing some of their dreams into music.
Yeah, we get to meet fascinating people, no doubt about it, and it's been an awesome experience. Thank you, Michael Borresen, for coming all the way to South Carolina to help us put this system in, help us explain some of the technology. You're truly a mastermind and absolutely a legend in our industry for pushing things outside the norm, and so I want to commend you for that. Because when you do some things like that, the crazy stuff you and Lars do, you really open yourself to criticism. And of course, you guys never slow down because your passion is there, your focus is there, and your curiosity is there. So I commend you on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know it takes a lot of resources, energy, financial resources, and
I think basically what happens is that once you start scratching a surface, you always see deeper layers.
Yeah.
I think it's the same force that drives archaeologists to sit like this in the ground, finding these small bits and pieces that when they puzzle it together, they can see a reality.
Yeah.
It's a little bit the same here. We find this little piece that works and that little piece, but if we combine all these tendencies in one direction, we actually get something that really moves the goalpost. Is why you can make good performance.
Wow. Well, the gold signature has lots of little pieces, I can tell, and
yeah, sure.
I can't wait to hear
that's the fruit of the loom.
Yeah.
But sometimes we take the fruit of the loom and put that into like Axis or the X speakers. So,
sure, a little taste of it, right?
And we push performance envelopes also for products that are not out of reach for 89% of the people.
Yeah. Well, super excited. I will see you at the Exponent Show in April, my friend.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate everything you're doing. Thank you, Michael.